Now, to just chat a bit more about the World Cup and someone who is very familiar to our screens here at Newzroom Afrika. He's out in Qatar, Benjamin Leshoro. Benjamin, good morning. I mean, the excitement around the World Cup is building up. We've seen goals galore yesterday, but for you that has been there for a while now, what kind of World Cup would you say it has been thus far?
Good morning to me. Good morning to all the viewers back home. I think it's been a strange World Cup. I think we can all agree that it hasn't been a normal Mundial that we've known over the years. And there's been a muted sort of atmosphere here in Qatar. And you could argue that perhaps the restrictions that have been placed on a lot of things is what you could blame for that. A lot of people, certainly the tourists, have felt very uncomfortable. I must say, we met a lot of people, even on the metro systems, the trains, the buses, as we travel from different venues. They have confessed that they feel uncomfortable with the heavy security and the pedantic nature of the security personnel here in Qatar. We know that the alcohol sales issue is also a big one. Football fans want to travel and want to watch games, whether it's at the stadium or at the different fan parks. They want to be drinking something. Mm-hmm. I think it's also been a bit sensationalized, excuse me, that there is no alcohol sales at all. You can buy alcoholic beverages, just not around the stadium precinct. There are designated places for that.
I mean, we also know that there was a lot of money spent on this tournament. It's actually considered the most expensive World Cup yet. While you're walking around Qatar there, are you seeing this? Does it reflect that there was so much money that was spent on it?
Yeah, sure. Certainly you have a lot of world-class infrastructure that you see around here. I mentioned the metro systems earlier on. It's basically unmanned metro trains. We travel on trains that literally have no drivers or whatever they're called, that you get, the trains traveling from one place to the other. So there's a lot of infrastructure that is really state of the art. The stadiums, there's retractable roofs here, specifically, excuse me, for the temperatures that are normally sweltering here in Qatar. And I think we also underestimated how Qatar will be simulating winter, because they did report, we did several stories of how they'll be creating artificial European winter. So we have found that it's very hot and humid outside when you're walking around. Immediately you get into the stadiums, it's very cold. When we went to the opening game between Qatar and Ecuador, we found that I was cold, I was freezing inside that stadium. My feet were stone cold. I was shaking because I was so uncomfortable with the cold that was in there, with the nozzles that spray chilled air. So it's that sort of infrastructure that they have put money into. And of course, there's something called the Aspire Academy here. They are hoping that the World Cup legacy will help the football culture kick on here in Qatar. One of the things that I think is to blame for the sort of muted atmosphere that I mentioned is that Qatar, let's be honest, is not really a footballing country. You get the sense that the locals here don't really care. They're not really bothered what happens, whether their team goes into the knockout rounds or what. They're not really bothered, to be honest. And that's according to what I've noticed while being here for the past few days.
Interesting. Well, we hope that you stay healthy with the different temperatures of going in the stadium and out there. But just before I let you go quickly, obviously Senegal is out. What can we expect from an African perspective?
We will be heading to the Ghana camp this morning. Patrice Motsepe, the CAF president, will be visiting the Ghana camp to just give them words of encouragement. Ghana will have to wait for some time before playing their first match. They're in the last group. So we'll hopefully get word from CAF president Patrice Motsepe this morning at the Ghana camp.
Benjamin Leshoro out in Qatar will definitely keep us up to date with regards to what is happening at the World Cup. But that's